We're on.
Here. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we ask you to be with us in this meeting. We ask your blessing upon all we do. We ask your blessing upon all our projects and upon our city workers, that they'll be protected. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I'd like to call this evening's meeting of Jackson City Council to order. We'll begin with roll call. Ms. Kuhn?
Foster.
Here.
Elliott.
Here.
Colby. Here. Peters.
Here.
Newkirk.
Here.
Young. Bob.
Here.
The chair would entertain a motion to excuse Ms. Young. Mr. Elliott, is there a second? Mr. Newkirk? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion is carried. Mayor, any recognitions this evening?
Yes, I have a couple recognitions before council tonight. First, I'll start with one of our operations. Ron Aldridge is in the back. If you'll just stand, Ron, you don't have to come up here. I know you've all met Ron. He's worked with the city a long time. He's been in a lot of departments. I think, if I remember right, he started on a garbage truck. He's one of our operations manager now. He's over, part of his responsibility is he's over our wastewater plant, our street and alley services, which entails garbage in the garage and all our street services, and the garage, and the cemetery. So he wears a lot of hats, basically does the job of what formerly was done by 3 superintendents. And I just wanted to thank him for coming here tonight and recognize him for what he does. With him also, thank you, Ron. With him also is the chief plant operator of our wastewater plant, Kenny Staley. Kenny, if you'll come forward. He is the chief plant operator, and means he runs the wastewater plant. I still call it the sewer plant. I stall there every time, but it's wastewater in the industry. Anyway, Jackson County, the services here are part of an organization with 28 other counties in southeastern Ohio. It's called the Southeast Ohio Water Environment Association. And Kenny, being the chief plant operator, he's worked for the city for 9 years. He received an award from that group earlier last month, I guess it was. And I want to re-present it to him. He's already received it. I want to re-present it to him as the 2025 Awesome Operator Award. Okay. Now, how do you beat that? How do you beat that? We think he does a great job out there. I just wanted to recognize him here before council too for winning this Awesome Operator Award from the Southeast Ohio Water Environment Association. Thank you for what you do, Kenny.
One more time.
Kenny, you want to say anything before council?
I enjoy working here, I really do. The 9 years has flew by, but I enjoy every minute of working here.
And what is it? You got like 11 to go, right?
16.
If you don't mind, my fine shake.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you.
Hey, congratulations.
You sure it's not 11?
Thank you very much.
You're eating something else?
For the job that you do for the city. It's well appreciated. Next, we do have someone on our agenda to speak this evening, and so I have asked Tracy Plants if she would handle the introductions for that. Tracy?
Well, before I introduce our guest today, I just want to give a couple thank yous for this effort here that we're going to talk about. I'd like to thank Mayor Evans. He is part of the Mayor's Partnership for Progress, and they have provided the funding for this plan for this effort that we were able to undertake. I would also like to thank a couple members of the steering committee that are here. We had several members of the community that participated, but Amanda Crabtree and Kay Howe were very active members on the steering committee for this plan, so I'd like to thank them as well. So in September of 2024, the city did receive funding through the Mayor's Partnership for Progress for a Parks and Recreation Master Plan. And since then, we have been working with Daryl Walnick from Verdantis to develop the strategic plan. Daryl is an AICP certified city planner and is currently a planning manager with Verdantis. Daryl is a graduate of the University of Utah, where he received his Master of Science in City and Metropolitan Planning. He has worked on numerous projects such as zoning code updates, major residential subdivisions, park plans, and transportation plans. So Daryl, thank you for coming tonight to share the Parks and Recreation Master Plan with the council.
Thanks, everyone. I always say at the introduction part, I'm very humble. My voice projects, so I'm not going to scream into the microphone. Mayor, thanks for the opportunity to do this, for the opportunity to do this Parks Plan, for letting me come here and speak and present all the hard work that's been done by our staff and by the steering committee, everything we've done with the community. So you've got two things in front of you today. You've got one much bigger thing, which is the actual draft Parks and Recreation Strategic Plan. It says adopted on it. That's a placeholder. It's not adopted. Don't panic. It's just something we put on there so we know where it's going to go when we do the final. But that is the entire, I should say nearly the entire effort we have. There is an appendix that we didn't bother printing up because I don't think you want to see tables and maps that don't have a bearing on necessarily on the final product, but we're happy to provide those as well. So I know you don't have a chance to read it all right now because there's quite a bit to it, but I encourage you over the next couple of weeks before you hopefully pass a resolution to adopt it, to read through it in depth, not only to understand what's all been done, but also to catch maybe a wavered spelling error that most likely was missed. And there's always a spelling error and everything, I feel like. So take the time, look through it. We've done a lot of good work. The other item in front of you is a short presentation that I will walk through. I won't read verbatim, but I kind of walk you through what the Parks Plan is, what the process was, and what the outcome was. So at any time during this, please feel free to stop me. I'm just going to step back and look at my screen to keep myself on track. I don't have a printed copy with me. But if you have questions, throw something at me, yell my name's Daryl, or hey guy, or please stop, whatever you need to do. So what is the Parks and Rec Master Plan? If we've done a comprehensive plan or any kind of planning documents before, it's essentially the same thing. It's a policy guide. It's not prescriptive. It doesn't say you must do this, this, and this, but it lays out a roadmap for policies and projects to undertake over the next, in this case, 10 to 20 years to make the park system better, to continue to serve the residents, and make sure that it's sustainable into the future, that we create programs, that we create physical parks, that we create improvements that we can sustainably maintain without having to scrimp for funding or let things fall into disrepair. There are three pillars that the National Recreation Parks Association puts out as part of what guides parks. You can see it in front of you: health and wellness, conservation, and equity. Essentially keeping people healthy, keeping nature safe, keeping natural resources protected, and then making sure everyone can access parks. We utilize something called the BARF process that I won't go deep into. He's a professor, or was a professor, of Parks and Recreation. Kind of walks through how parks planning should be done. I have a whole book I can give you if you'd like. I can send you the book. It tells you all about parks planning, but the folks who don't do it daily, it's probably not as exciting as it is to me. But who made this happen? So we had a steering committee of residents from throughout the city who helped to make this possible. A couple of those steering members are here that Tracy introduced. So what does the steering committee do? There's no secret language. It literally steers the process. They're representatives of the community. We're the professionals. We use our time to do the steering committee, and city staff would like us to do. City staff were, of course, part of the steering committee as well. In this case, we met 4 times over the course of about 8 months. We bring in information, we do background research, we look at best practices, we look at the existing conditions to make recommendations. They tell us what direction they'd like the Parks and Recreation Department to go. The city provides their input as well. They guide us through the process. Public engagement is a big thing they help guide us through. And also, they are cheerleaders for the plan. out in the community. Those are the ones who literally live in the community, work in the community. It's their job to bother their neighbors, bother their coworkers, and say, hey, we're just in front of you. Again, I'm not one for reading slides verbatim, but essentially it says they want to provide good parks. The vision provides an overview. It's the big idea, right? If we're thinking about things in terms of a pyramid, the vision forms the base. It is the big idea that props up everything else. So from the vision, we move on to look at existing visions. We look at population. We look at physical conditions such as how many parks there are, how many acres, what services the parks provide, what condition are they in. When we look at population statistics, we look at demographics, we look at economic, socioeconomic status. Sometimes we look at straight up how many people there are, how many children there are, how many seniors there are, because in parks recreation planning especially, children under 18, and especially under about 12, and senior citizens use parks disproportionately more than anyone else. When they have special needs as it relates to parks and recreation, they have a harder time obtaining access to parks and recreation, both physically and through programs. So we want to make sure we pay attention to those populations specifically to make sure that they're able to access parks equitably, the same as everyone else. The corner piece for any plan, especially this plan, is public engagement. So as part of the steering committee, we present a public engagement plan, which they say, yes, is good in this case. We had one online, no, we didn't, I'm sorry. We did a steering committee, we did parks forums that we did. So what happened is we devised a set of questions and evaluations, like a 1 to 5 scale, that we passed out to not just the steering committee members, but in this case, members of the AP government class at the high school, class of seniors. So we often find involving high school kids can be helpful because they have a lot of good ideas. High school kids, even small kids, have much better ideas than me for sure. They think ways outside the box. Oftentimes, us as adults, we're kind of boxed into our very specific ideas. They're all over the map, which is great because the future is theirs. We want to make sure we're planning for them as well. So we do these parks and recreation evaluation forms, which literally folks will go out to the parks and provide feedback on condition of things and presence of things on a scale. And that helps us determine how parks are enjoyed, observed, and interacted with by a whole host of people. And those questions, we may have folks who go to parks every day. Those questions are designed to get you to look at things that maybe you don't always look at. Where's the landscape you look at? What does it look like? How is the slide in good condition? What does the path look like? These kind of questions that, as we're enjoying our park, we might not think about it, but subconsciously they tend to kind of affect the way we enjoy it. So we do that. We also did the cookie walk as sort of a de facto open house event, where we set up in the theater, I think it was 4 or 5 easels with maps on them with questions, and just get feedback from folks. I will say that for a parks plan, I've done a number of these. We probably had some of the best feedback and engagement I've ever had from a parks plan here on that cookie walk. So you have a great event here in town. We actually had a lot of fun, even when I was outside, and I think it was really, really cold that night, if I remember correctly.
Single digits.
It was single digits. It was quite cold, but people were out. We had a great time. We got folks to come in and interact with us. We ran out of cookies, but they still came in and talked to us, which was great. I think Tracy actually hooked us up with some extra cookies, so it was a really, really great turnout. Folks gave a lot of feedback on what they wanted to see. In general, I should say, and you'll see within the document, folks tend to be happy with the parks. There's a really good offering, but there are some favorites in terms of what folks like. Manpower Park tends to be a big favorite of folks. People are really appreciative of the pool as well. And there's some areas for improvement as well that are outlined in there because, any community, not everything's perfect, and it gives us something to strive for to continue to do better. But on the whole, the parks offerings here are phenomenal. The residents do feel like they're really adequate. So we have all this fluffy public engagement. We do all this background research, right? What does it all kind of get crushed into? We would call an implementation matrix, implementation table. What it is basically is a roadmap for how to get things done. If we look at things in terms of just, we have these 5 really, or in this case 6 buckets, 6 really big goals. How are we going to make this happen? Well, you can't. If you think about it, just this big lofty goal, it's hard to get to it. So what we do through an implementation matrix is we break it down. Goals, objectives, and action items to make sure that we can check off these seemingly little projects, these little items. We work towards this bigger idea of, in one case, maybe it's providing better access. Maybe it's, finding a new playground, improving equipment quality, these kinds of things. In all, there were 60 strategies that we identified the city could take to continue to improve, continue to offer really great services to Parks and Recreation. So, major projects. If you look on one of those pages toward the back there's a map with a lot of pictures on it, a lot of color. We identified some pretty big projects that we thought would be really great for the city of Jackson, that would really help elevate the parks and continue that I would almost call legacy of phenomenal Parks and Recreation service. Because when you think about it, you have 7 parks here. I don't know a whole lot of communities of this size who have 7 parks, much less a pool, much less the sports field you have and playgrounds. So it's really a phenomenal thing, and you want to continue to build on that, continue to keep it the amazing system that it is. We identified, for example, a new park. There is a section of the city in the southeast that lacks access to a playground. So think about it in terms of how can we offer a playground or a new park on a small scale. I'm sorry, southwest. I said southeast, southwest. The southwest corner of the city. So we identified a parcel there, not owned by the city, it's owned by a private individual, so, the city have to purchase it through grant funds or whatever. We're not saying it has to be that parcel, but it offered a really great opportunity as a canvas. It's 1/2 acre, which is a nice number. It's almost a perfect square, which is really easy to plan on. So we offered some renderings throughout that parks plan that even if it's not that property, any property in that area that's roughly that same size or scalable, you can offer a similar, small playground area where families can go and kind of offer their children and seniors. There's a walking path around that we've designed to offer that additional amenity to folks who may not have that amenity in that area. Looking at new trail connections, a new, what we call it, a punch trail that moves through the city that helps to connect all the parks together so it feels like a cohesive system. With some signage with, a path on the street that, you can paint it and it shows folks where to go to access all these different parks. This amazing park system you have. And then looking at public art as a way of sort of improving the experience. In this case, it could be that path, it could be, crossings in front of schools. For example, not only does a painted crosswalk in this case offer higher visibility than a standard crosswalk. Folks tend to look past crosswalks after a while, right? Even if you put up a flashing beacon, people will tend to start looking past it. If the pavement is colorful, if there's artwork on it, people tend to notice that a bit more. So not only is it safe, but it offers an amazing opportunity for some collaboration with local students, for example, on a public art project. That costs the city maybe the cost of paint. Maybe the paint is donated by a local business. And it creates great collaboration. It also creates beautiful artwork and improves safety and transportation network, which, as a planner, I'm passionate about transportation planning. Tracy said I do a lot of transportation planning, so it's kind of adjacent to that. But it's a great opportunity for some art in the community, which is always phenomenal. Finally, the other big project or potential is repurposing parkland. In this case, Eddie Jones Park, there's one section that tends to flood a lot. We were actually here back in March and there was a really big flood. You'll see some photos in there that we got, some drone photos of flooding. And it kind of offers you a really great bird's eye view of what happens when you get some even moderate flooding. So thinking about how to repurpose land and redirect things to ensure that, the infrastructure you're creating is sustainable again, monetarily, fiscally, so that we're not continuing to improve fields, improve lighting, that is just going to be damaged by flood waters, for example. So finally, I'm almost done talking. I don't have my partner Sarah here to help me. Usually there's 2 of us and she reins me in when I talk too much. That's my bad habit. So you'll see those renderings of that new park there within the plan. There's 3 pictures there in the presentation you have. You can look at the plan, you'll see should be 9 or 10 renderings. It's a potential new park. Again, the location on there is that one parcel we identified, just because of its centrality to the existing residential properties that don't have playground access. But it can be, any similarly sized or scaled parcel, and you can scale that park down. We also noticed within that plan there is a list of items, improvements that have costs associated with them. One thing that Mayor Evans and David were really clear on is not only they want something that had some, great design elements to it, and some good maps that you could see and kind of take in this overall plan, but they wanted some very real cost estimates to getting this kind of stuff done. Because those cost estimates are important when you go out and find grant funding, for example. When you're going out looking for low cost or no interest loans. through any kind of program, say we want to do this, improve our residents' lives, continue to offer amazing parks, but now we need to do this. By the way, here's the plan we have, and that takes a long way. And it wouldn't go ask the state or ask the MPO or ask the, USDOT, for example, for money. If you have a plan, you're just going to throw you on the pile. You've got a plan, it's outlined, it's got a cost, you have a desire, you have goals, it's been approved. It puts you on a different tier when you start looking for that kind of funding. That is all I have in terms of very quick presentation. Of course, I'm here to answer any questions you have. Happy to answer any questions. Happy to stay after council if you'd like me to wait as well. If you have, kind of really deep questions. Otherwise, happy to answer anything you have.
Council, have any questions?
And, staff has my email, so you're more than welcome to email me any questions that may pop up as you start to read through this. I want this to be something that everyone kind of understands. You have to pass a resolution to adopt it. I don't want you to pass a resolution or something that, hey, this kind of looks good. I want you to make sure that you know what you're getting. Put a lot of work into this. The steering committee put a lot of work into it, and David and his team put a lot of work into it, and the mayor did. So we're really proud of it, and if you have questions, just let me know.
If I could suggest if council would forward any of their questions to the council clerk, we'll get them over, so give you a chance to answer them, so that we can get them back to you guys before the next meeting then.
On the 20th.
Maybe give Kay and them a chance to talk also. They were participants, so that you can get a different view from some of the steering committee members. Amanda, Kay?
Just at one point, and that was a learning from Daryl, that it's to everybody's advantage to be able to walk to a park in 10 minutes. And they've got those maps in that packet. It was fascinating to think of the kids that don't have a park and can't get to one. So identifying those in our community, I thought was insightful. So, yeah. Thanks.
Appreciate that.
Anything else? We thank you for serving on the steering committee, both of you. Appreciate that.
Thank you, council. I appreciate the time.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Just for Kay and Amanda, I have a grant opportunity that I would like to share with you guys. That you have a really high chance of getting.
Okay.
So,
All right, yeah.
I can probably just shoot it to you in a text. if that's
Okay, that'll work. Thanks.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from the June 23rd meeting. The minutes were in your packet. Is there any corrections or objections to the minutes as presented to council? Being none, I'll entertain a motion to approve them. Motion by Mr. Bach. Is there a second? By Mr. Newkirk. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next on our agenda is committee reports. We'll start with utility. Mr. Newkirk.
No report.
Thank you, Mr. Newkirk. Budget and finance, Ms. Colby.
No report.
Thank you, Ms. Colby. Police, fire, and traffic, Mr. Foster.
I have no report.
Thank you, Mr. Foster. Service, Mr. Peters.
Just a reminder that I guess the final committee meeting for DORA to get off the ground finally, it will be at 6:30 on the 28th, next meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Peters. Auditor's report, Mr. Reed.
The only thing I have to report is the 24 audit is done. Another great audit. We had two mentions on a management letter. One, they rolled out a ethics training, basically with dealing with fraud, and they rolled it out at the end of the year, and that's what everybody here on council took, so it's up to date. They mentioned that in the managed letter, and they also mentioned that we didn't have a records retention meeting. Those were the only things we had, period, which is wonderful. In my world, it's great. So we have told them at this point, we don't want a post-audit conference unless somebody wants to pay them to come down and tell us those two things.
I don't think so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. Mr. Kirby?
Let me have one thing. We had considered an executive session today to discuss pending litigation. You'll remember that some time ago, the city was sued by Jackson South David Holdings concerning the Henry home. It was a zoning issue. It was an R4 property. So they had filed suit, and we were preparing for a jury trial, and the purpose of the executive session was to go over that and bring you up to date. So we had some pretty solid motions pending for a summary judgment, and then I had filed a motion on Thursday for a dismissal of the damage claim. On Friday, they dismissed their case. So no executive sessions needed because it's not a pending litigation anymore, and you're completely up to date and the case is gone. So that takes care of that.
Thank you, Mr. Kirby. Chief Finch is not with us tonight, so we'll skip to Mayor Evans. Mayor's report.
Yep, I'd like to update council on a couple of projects. McKee Paving started a ride in town today. Has begun their summer paving project here. They started work milling on South Street today. So there'll be a lot of interruptions of traffic and block streets and closures and all that. So I just ask everybody to avoid any area they're working in as much as possible and bear with them as they go through this. Also, the 93 South Waterline project, we're doing some sidewalks and approaches down on Florence Avenue as part of this project, and it should wrap up this week to finish that project finally. And then also you might notice crews have been working downtown replacing some valves, which is an early part of the downtown revitalization project where we're replacing the old water lines downtown. So if you see them cutting some holes in downtown, that's to put in some valves that will allow them to valve off water and put in new lines downtown as that project moves forward. And that's all I have tonight, Dan.
Thank you, Mayor. Any questions for the mayor? Hearing none, Mr. Swikammer.
Yes, I've already talked a little bit with Jeff that there will need to be a zoning board of appeals for about 15 minutes before next meeting. So I think you guys said 6:15?
I believe that's correct, Mr. Elliott.
You agreed to?
Correct.
Okay. I also do have a utility request from an individual on Lewis Street, which is outside the city, for a 5/8" water tap and a sewer tap. If, under new business, if you can bring that one back up for approval, I would appreciate that. The other items I'd like to talk about, we'll do, there's a couple ordinances and the resolutions setting up funding and then awarding some contracts as we get to them in tonight's legislation, if that's permissible.
Thank you, Mr. Schweikhammer. Questions for the Service Director? Hearing none, then we'll go into our ordinance and resolutions portion of our meeting. We will begin with ordinance 26-2025 on third reading. Ms. Kuhn?
An ordinance creating a pay policy to permit city employees who are City of Jackson volunteer firefighters to be paid for their response time to an emergency call to the fire station where the employee shall clock out of the city employee timekeeping system and declaring an emergency.
Discussion.
Mr. President,
Ms. Peters?
I read the state adoption of the policy recognizing volunteer firefighters, and what I read is that the state gives the employees 40 hours a year. So in the first section, it says, whereas the state of Ohio has adopted a policy, so we're asking to follow that guideline, but to allow Jackson to have unlimited hours instead of 40. I wrote down what I wanted to say so I don't ramble so much this evening, so I don't bore any of you. But I don't think that we should pass this because we're continuously kicking the can down the road here. We're reacting to an issue that we have with timekeeping. So rather than fix the real issue, we're just going to keep adding wrinkles to it. So city departments cannot function properly without key personnel. Leaving without notice, this could compromise essential city services like any repairs, maintenance, even administrative functions, because we're allowing foremen to leave as well. The policy places the need for one department, the volunteer fire department, ahead of all the others in the city. Mr. Swackhammer said in the last meeting that not all the employees are allowed to leave, so not all employees allowed to serve, allowing some to leave during paid hours while others remain creates perception of favoritism and undermines team unity. It sends a message that certain employees could receive special treatment even if all are paid the same. So it definitely has a negative impact on morale and fairness. We have no legal obligation to do it. The statute that I think we were referring to was the 4113.41 that protects volunteer firefighters only if they're late or if the calls are received before their shift begins. It doesn't require us to make those changes. And we don't have to allow employees to leave during scheduled hours. So what they're asking council to do is put a little asterisk in this to allow them to do that. During scheduled work hours, city retains the ability to deny it without violating any law or what was referenced in the first part. It creates a risky precedent, in my opinion, because there are other city employees that are on other volunteer fire departments. So are we allowing them to leave? That opens up a can of worms there. And it sets precedent to, invite other employees to demand time off for their volunteer or civic duties. Just weakens the ability to maintain a clear enforceable policy for paid time employee responsibilities. So I think I'm going to vote no, but I'm just one vote. That's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Peters. Any other discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Coon?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
Peters.
No.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Bach.
Yes.
Ordinance 2635 is duly adopted. Ordinance to second reading, ordinance 2825. Ms. Coon?
An ordinance amending the City of Jackson zoning regulation section 1102.01 that defines yard front, rear, and side when determining the appropriate setback and height requirements for fences and declaring an emergency.
Discussion?
Mr. President,
Mr. Peters?
since we did have a public hearing, are we okay to pass this to get it implemented, so to reduce zoning appeals meeting? I'll move to suspend the rules to adopt the changes.
Motion by Mr. Peters, second by Mr. Elliott. Discussion? Ms. Coon?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
Peters. Newkirk.
Yes.
Bach.
Yes.
Discussion? Ms. Coon?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Bach.
Yes.
Ordinance 2825 is duly adopted. Next, for council consideration, ordinance 31, 2025, second reading. Discussion?
Would you like me to read it first?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, please.
An ordinance amending the City of Jackson zoning regulations, section 1114.07, reducing certain fence height from 8 to 6 feet consistent with the prior zoning code and declaring an emergency.
Now discussion.
Mr.
Motion
President,
to suspend.
Mr. Elliott,
if you beat me to it, I'll second.
second. Discussion? Ms. Coon?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Bach.
Discussion? Ms. Coon?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Bach.
Yes.
Ordinance 31-2025 is duly adopted. Next, for council consideration on first reading, ordinance 33-2025. Ms. Coon?
An ordinance approving additional appropriations in the Jackson Recreation Fund and declaring an emergency.
Could I have a motion to adopt ordinance 30-2025 as presented to council? Mr. Bach, is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Elliott, second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. The motion is carried. For discussion, Mr. Reed, again.
This was a grant funding that Tracy, and I think there's some other that Jackson County Forward got, but this was very specific. It's for historic, and Tracy's welcome to chime in on any of this, but they are using it to go and give a little notoriety to Boone Rock out by the sewer plant, needing the trail and signage, and she wants to address something that way towards it, but she has gotten the grant, so they need to have the grant appropriated so they can spend it. So I'd appreciate it if council would pass it so they could use the money.
Thank you, Mr. Reed. Ms. Plants, would you like to expound on that a little bit?
That's all correct. This is funding to, our project was to improve what we call the Boone Rock Trail. And Mr. Markham has done a lot of research too around this idea. And we think this helps highlight our area's contributions and some ties to some folklore, some history in our community, and it can be used just to help celebrate that history, an educational opportunity to involve the community. And then just also to recognize the Jackson County Forward Group also received a grant. It is a separate grant through this same funding group, America 250 Ohio. Jackson is recognized as a participating community. And I believe there were 50-some grants that were awarded to 47 counties. Two of those grants were in Jackson County, for the city of Jackson and Jackson County Forward. I believe their project overall includes some mural work.
Yes.
What they're trying to do. So I thought Jackson had a really good representation in that effort.
Thank you, Ms. Plants. Ms. Howe, Ms. Crabtree, anything you'd like to expound on?
No, we're still kind of formulating, and we will present that to council at the time that we have something to present.
Thank you. Any other, Mr. Elliott?
I just want to say, motion to suspend the rules.
Suspend, is there a second? Mr. Box, second. Discussion? Ms. Coon?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Further discussion? Ms. Coon?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Bach.
Ordinance 33-2025 is duly adopted. Next, for council consideration, first reading, ordinance 34-2025. Ms. Coon?
An ordinance approving additional appropriations in the Buildings and Capital Outlay City Building Project Fund and declaring an emergency.
Can we have a motion to adopt ordinance 34-2025 as presented to council? Mr. Elliott, second by Ms. Colby. All those in, discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Now discussion. And Mr. Schweikhammer.
Yes, this is actually establishing and funding for BDT Architects, the work going on with the downtown revitalization program. So in order for us to, and you'll have a resolution coming up awarding that to them, we have to have the funding in place. This is all part of the grant funding, so we need the line item set up so that we can then award the contract.
Thank you, Mr. Schweikhammer. Further discussion?
I would ask that if we could move it along quicker so that we can keep that work moving.
Mr. Evans?
Oh, this one's, oh, I'm sorry, I had the wrong project. Yeah. I apologize, this one is the Memorial Building one. It's still BDT, that's what got me confused. My apologies.
Thank you, Mr. Schweikhammer. Move to suspend the rules. Motion to suspend by Mr. Newkirk, is there a second? Ms. Colby, second. All those in favor, oh, I'm sorry, discussion. Sorry. Yes.
So, what's the $300,000 for?
City building.
Say it again?
City building.
Okay, this is for what part of the project again?
The whole architectural design.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Ms. Coon?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Bach.
Further discussion?
Thank you.
Ms. Coon?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby.
Yes.
Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Bach.
Ordinance 342025 is duly adopted. Next, for council consideration on first reading, ordinance 352025. Ms. Coon?
An ordinance approving additional appropriations in the Hammertown Lake Improvements Project Fund and declaring an emergency.
Could I have a motion to adopt ordinance 352025 as presented to council? Ms. Colby, is there a second? Mr. Bach? All those in favor say aye. Against, same sign. The motion is carried. Discussion. Mr. Schwackhammer.
I'm going to take this one from him, if it's okay with you, Dan?
Yes, sir.
Because it's information that Tracy had given me that I forgot to mention earlier. City of Jackson was awarded $310,000 through an ODNR and Ohio Trails Partnership for the Hammertown Lake Bridle Trail Project that we had applied for money for. We're partnering with the Ohio Horse Council for planning, and this legislation is to set up those funds. $310,000 to make some substantial improvements to the trails out at Hammertown Lake. What's the horse trails?
Thank you, Mayor.
All grant money. All grant money.
Discussion. Mr. Bach? Motion to suspend. Is there a second? Mr. Elliott, second. Discussion. Ms. Coon?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby. Yes. Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk. Bach.
Further discussion. Ms. Coon?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby. Yes. Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Bach.
Ordinance 352025 is duly adopted. Next, for council consideration, ordinance 362025. Ms. Coon?
An ordinance to preserve the historic brick pavement on Columbia and Church Streets in the city of Jackson.
Could I have a motion to adopt ordinance 362025 as presented to council? Ms. Colby, is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Peters, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Discussion.
Mr. President, I just asked Mr. Kirby to bring this back. During last year's paving projects, the council just had a voice vote to preserve the last two brick historic streets. I thought we probably need to put that in the form of an ordinance so the public's aware. That way when we're all gone out of these chairs, someone can search and find out. So maybe they're saved forever. I move to suspend the rules just so we can officially enter this to the record.
And then it'll be effective in 30 days.
That'll be fine. That'll be fine.
Is there a second? Mr. Colby? Second. Discussion?
I have
Mr. Elliott?
It's only a block of Columbia. I know.
Be there forever now.
And it's in pretty good shape compared to Church Street. I mean, it's better than Church Street. But I think it's great to have that one block since it's right beside my... I noticed it, just that it's smaller. But it's going to take some effort, maybe more than just an ordinance, because it looks to me like we will need some special, either we'll have to get this contracted out or something when they start working on Church Street. I'm not a mason, but I can see that some of the brickwork up on Main Street along the sidewalk is sinking in. And those people that built that knew what they were doing, I can tell you. I think it was Italian. My dad told me that anyway, back in the 20s. Maybe wrong, but...
When we discussed this previously, I don't know if people have visited Nelsonville, like their town square. They actually think they got maybe some grant money to help out with that too, but I feel like we need to start with this before we can do anything else. So.
Wholeheartedly agree.
Further discussion? Ms. Coon?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby. Yes. Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Bach.
Discussion? Ms. Coon?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby. Yes. Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes. Ordinance 36, 2025 is duly adopted. Next, for council consideration on second reading, Resolution 23-2025. Ms. Kuhn?
A resolution authorizing the solicitation of competitive bids for the demolition of the Memorial Building and Auditorium and declaring an emergency.
Discussion? Mr. Evans?
Second reading, it's pretty self-explanatory. We want to try to get, we think we have grant money that'll go toward demolition of the building, and we're anxious to get started on it.
Thank you, Mayor. Other discussion? Mr. Peters?
People have reached out regarding saving it, but no one ever has any other means to save the building. It's not feasible. So that's what I've been sharing with the public. Most people think that, you can just go in and fix it, but, we all have seen all of the work that these guys have done to show us that the building really is unsafe, especially the auditorium. And the side facing Mayhew Funeral, Jason Brown's funeral home, is very dangerous. I walk in the mornings and in the last year, the gap on the side of the brick is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. There's no way to fix it. They told us there's no steel structure on the inside, it's stacked brick, so if that falls down, it may demolish itself. But we need to get moving on it. It's not ideal, obviously, for people who enjoy history and understand, where the building came from. Public Works is, pretty cool thing that, that they were able to do that here in Jackson, but it's just like anything else. Sometimes it just gets old and it dies. So I don't love it, but I can live with it.
Dave, I'd like to add, we spent a long time trying to figure out and studying the feasibility of repairing it or fixing it or whatever. And it really just, there is a sad side to it that everybody, everybody sees. But if you start talking about what makes sense, what's the financially responsible thing to do as a city, we think this is it. And I don't like it. There's ways I don't like it either, but it's probably the right thing to do. We think it is.
One other thing too is there's, the public, put their input. People that reached out to me, they're like, well, the windows are replaced. And I was thinking, I think maybe like a couple of windows were replaced on the auditorium side, but the windows that are in the front look really old to me. Single pane, like they got like a little crank or something on them. And then the other part was the last time that the study was done, and we discussed this in the last meeting, was like 2014. Everyone's like, well, that was just a few years ago. Like, no, that was a different, economic situation in 2014, and as we've come through COVID, the price of everything has increased. Gas isn't 50 cents a gallon anymore, so I don't love it, but we got to do something. So,
Thank you, Mr. Peters. Other discussion? Mr. Elliott?
I move we suspend the rules.
Motion by Mr. Elliott to suspend. Is there a second? For the motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Peters, second. Discussion? Ms. Kuhn?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby. Yes. Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk. Bach.
Yes.
Any further discussion?
Just one more thing. If we do nothing, it's going to fall down anyway. So let's do the right thing.
Other discussion? Ms. Kuhn?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby. Yes. Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Bach.
Yes. Resolution 23-205 is duly adopted. Next, for council consideration, first reading, Resolution 27-2025. Ms. Kuhn?
A resolution authorizing an agreement with BDT Aid Incorporated to provide professional architect and engineering services for the city building project and declaring an emergency.
Could I have a motion to adopt Resolution 272025 as presented, Council? Mr. Newkirk, is there a second? Mr. Bott, second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Discussion, Mr. Swackhammer.
Yes, this is the 300,000 that was earlier discussed. This is actually awarding the contract now. So if you can move forward with it, I would appreciate it.
So there's only 300,000, not 600,000?
It's only 300,000.
Three.
That's what you guys get funded, was the 300,000 line item.
Not 600,000?
No.
Okay.
Actually, 296,000.
Yeah, 296.
Further discussion? Any further action?
Yeah, I'll move to suspend the rules to further the projects.
Motion by Mr. Peters, second by Mr. Newkirk. Discussion? Ms. Coon?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby. Yes. Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk. Bott.
Further discussion?
Dan?
Yes,
Well,
Mayor.
Just add, I think council's in support, we still want to add this. This is BDT, it's the architect who did the feasibility study and has worked on the memorial building, other projects. So we felt it best to continue with them, and this is to hire them to design and oversee the building project. So it is the same group, and they come highly recommended, do a great job, so we think it's the right thing, stick with them on this.
Thank you, Mayor.
And this is a discounted rate too from their normal rates, by the way. Architects and engineers are charging a lot more than they used to, and this is kind of an old school rate that we were able to negotiate them down to.
I do agree that that's not a bad rate.
Further discussion? Ms. Coon?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby. Yes. Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Bott.
Ordinance 272025 is duly adopted. Next, for council consideration, first reading, ordinance 282025. Ms. Coon?
A resolution authorizing the City of Jackson to enter into an agreement with the Ohio Department of Natural Resources for the Capital Improvement Community Park Recreation Conservation Project Pass-Through Grant and declaring an emergency.
Could I have a motion to adopt Resolution 202025? Mr. Newkirk, is there a second? Mr. Bott, second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Discussion, Mr. Swackhammer.
This is to enter into the contract for the 310,000 that you just put in the line item in the ordinances.
Thank you, Mr. Swackhammer. Other discussion?
Mr. President, I'll move to suspend the rules.
Motion to suspend, second by Mr. Newkirk. Discussion? Ms. Coon?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby. Yes. Peters. Newkirk. Bott.
Further discussion? Ms. Coon?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby. Yes. Peters. Newkirk.
Yes.
Bott.
Resolution 282025 is duly adopted. Next, for council consideration, first reading, Resolution 292025. Ms. Coon?
A resolution accepting the donation of APX4 Point Deluxe jacks with struts, straps, chains, and other accessories from the Jackson Firefighters Association for use by the Jackson Fire Department and declaring an emergency.
Could I get a motion to adopt Resolution 292025 as presented to council? Mr. Elliott, is there a second? Mr. Bott, second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Contrary, same sign. Motion is carried. Discussion, Mr. Swackhammer.
Yes, as usually occurs several times a year, the Jackson Firefighters Association, through their fundraising, makes purchases of items that they feel the department needs or is in short of, and then offers them to the city at no cost. This is what they've recently purchased, but they would also like to donate to the city of Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Schweikhammer. Further discussion?
Mr. President, motion to suspend the rules.
Motion by Mr. Elliott, is there a second? Mr. Newkirk, second. Discussion? Ms. Kuhn?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby. Yes. Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Bach.
Further discussion? Ms. Kuhn?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby. Yes. Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk. Bach.
Resolution 292025 is duly adopted. Next, council consideration, first reading, Resolution 30-2025. Ms. Kuhn?
A resolution of the Legislative Authority of the City of Jackson, Ohio to accept the bid of New River Electric Corp. for the line upgrade project as bid, as it was the lowest and best responsive bid submitted, and declaring an emergency.
Could I have a motion to adopt Resolution 30-2025? Ms. Colby, is there a second? Mr. Newkirk, second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Discussion, Mr. Swikammer.
Yes, this is actually a long-planned and budgeted project that probably the better name for it would be voltage conversion. If you are familiar with the small transformer boxes, we got one that's very visible down by the ball fields at the corner of High and West Main. There's also another one in behind the old Rod Lots and another one as you go up Vaughn Hill. So this is the replacement of those two from Odd Lots to Vaughn Street to get the voltage up to match the voltage of the rest of the city. And then those two, the one behind the old Odd Lots and Vaughn Hill, will be decommissioned. Then we'll have three of them that we will be coming to see if we can auction off or do something with. So this will, as an AEP and the City of Jackson project. And you're going to have two items here. One is for the equipment, one is for the labor. It went out as two separate bids.
Thank you, Mr. Schweikhammer. Other discussion? Any further action to be taken?
Is there a hurry on this? You want to get,
I mean, it's all ready to go. We've got the bids and stuff already, have been ready to award, so we're holding up awarding these.
I knew we suspended those.
Motion by Mr. Elliott to suspend, is there a second? Mr. Bob, second. Further discussion?
Mr. President, is this funding from the reserve fund or this?
No, this has been in the electric fund. We tried to do it last year, so we've rolled it twice already. It's in the electric budget.
Thank you.
Other discussion? Ms. Kuhn?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby. Yes. Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Bach.
Further discussion? Ms. Kuhn?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby. Yes. Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Bach.
Resolution 30-2025 is duly adopted. Next, for the council consideration, our last resolution for the evening, first reading, 31-2025. Ms. Kuhn?
A resolution of the Legislative Authority of the City of Jackson, Ohio to accept the bid of Wesco for the line upgrade project as bid, as it was the lowest and best responsive bid submitted, and declaring an emergency.
Could I get a motion to adopt Resolution 30-2025? Ms. Colby, is there a second? Mr. Bach, second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. For discussion, Mr. Schweikhammer.
Again, as I mentioned, this was broken into labor and materials. This is the second piece.
Thank you, Mr. Schweikhammer. Other discussion? Any further action to be taken on this Resolution 31-2025?
Move we suspend the rules.
Mr. Elliott, is there a second? Mr. Newkirk, seconds. Discussion? Ms. Kuhn?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby. Yes. Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Bach.
Further discussion? Ms. Kuhn?
Foster.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Colby. Yes. Peters.
Yes.
Newkirk.
Yes.
Bach.
Resolution 31-2025 is duly adopted. I wish to thank council for their work in the ordinance and resolutions portion of the meeting this evening. Next is correspondence. I will say that I did receive a card, and unfortunately, it was not signed by the person who sent it, but who was unhappy about our trash cans. They think they're too heavy. They stated at the end that we are all liable when they fall down, meaning the people. So I think today, Mr. Schweikhammer did say that they've ordered some of the smaller ones.
The 35s?
Yeah.
Yes, with an 8/8 delivery is what's scheduled right now. I mean, we've heard enough. We still had enough set aside for the project that we were able to do that at a cost of about $10,000 for 200 of them. And we feel that will be more than sufficient for, mostly we're hearing from some handicapped or elderly individuals.
So could I ask, I know you've thought this out, what would be the process if?
Once we have them in hand, okay, then we'll make an announcement. Individuals that would prefer to trade out their 95 for a 35, we will work with the utility office for them to contact them, because we have to take back the serial numbered one that they have, and then we'll reassign them a new one at the same time.
Thank you, Mr. Schweikhammer.
Can I just ask a question? Other cities have had this issue too. I know because I lived in one that had this issue. Some people, I know a lady that talked to me that says she puts out basically about 2 Walmart bags full of trash each week. She just doesn't have a lot of trash, doesn't make a lot of trash. Are we opposed to the possibility for folks like that, even if they can't manage the smaller can, to sell them bags or stamps? So what happens is, where I lived, you would go to the utility office and you would buy, it looks like a thing they put on luggage. It's sticky, you put your bag out there, you wrap around the top and lock it. Stick it together. Trash guy drives by, he sees the tag on there, he picks it up. As where we could actually even reduce some elderly people's bills by offering, the other option would be a bag. Like you come up with a bag that says the city of Jackson on it or whatever, print whatever on the side of the trash bag you could, where the customer could come to the utility office and purchase 5 bags for X amount of dollars, and then put their trash out accordingly. Is that something that we could think about?
So the reason we went to the cans was to get away from the manual lifting. The garbage department probably has the largest number of injuries than any department within the city. And a lot of that is just the manual lifting, the repeating the process. We also have issues with, we put tippers on the back, on both sides, on the back of every truck. A lot of the garbage cans out there do not have that capability. Now you're back to manually lifting those. And I was told, long before me, that at one time the city actually tried selling the garbage bags, and they ran into an issue there, don't know what it was. Karen was telling me about it, and that's why they moved away from it. So I don't have any history. Maybe some of you lifelong residents may or may not remember the process, so.
Just one thing to that though, if we could do it just for folks that are over a certain age, that's not something that everybody could get, but it seems to be more of an issue for elderly folks than it does for the rest of us who just complain about things.
The weight and the size of the 35 gallons, they're less than 3 foot tall. They're smaller than most trash cans that people were using before.
The other issue though is some people don't have a place to store them, and if I am disabled or elderly, I just drag it back as close to my house as I can. I just feel like we should probably try to accommodate those folks with something that's easier, especially if a 35-gallon can and you put, and you're saying it's heavy, but if, you know, this lady's telling me she throws away 2 Walmart bags worth of trash, I mean, how heavy is that gonna be? I mean, with everything, I guess people would try to game the system and do it, but if we only offer that to, I guess, seniors, I would say, then I just don't, I think we need to do the best to try to help the folks that are struggling with it, or people with disabilities, but that's something that they'd have to come to the utility office. It's like, you know, I'm not gonna go in there and say, I wanna buy 10 of these bags and then fill them full of drywall or whatever. I mean, we use judgment every day, so.
Well, I think one of the issues that, in discussions that I've come up against is the sheer number of out-of-town trash that showed up in Jackson on trash day. I mean, and a lot of people realize it, was looking at it, because there'd be 4 or 5 different color bags in the can, so not only is our residents, but then there's their son, their daughter, and all these people were just bringing in and dumping it, and I'm not sure a bag, they could come in and buy 10 bags and just hand them out to the family, and they all could still get back to dropping their trash in the city. And I think that's one of the things that, because those bags usually wound up in a box that was wet, that was falling apart, that they were trying to put in the truck, and it went everywhere. So I don't know how we remedy that, if we go back to that, by letting out-of-town folks just come in and dump on us. I don't know. I mean, keep thinking, you know.
I have 2 dumpsters at my place of business, and every Monday morning, they're full of not business-related garbage.
And I think that's, we actually, I think, and the Memorial Building is chained shut because of that. Is just people just drive down there and just throw it in that dumpster, and then it spills out into the street, and then it goes down the street in the wind, and it's just a mess.
I guess we just wait and see what 35 gallons does for folks.
I would agree with that. I will also say in correspondence that was sent to me from AEP was just to alert you of a construction notice. It's called the Pattonsville Switch and Poston Lick 138 cut-in project. So I may ask the mayor or the service director if they could comment, if they know a little bit about this, but obviously it's an electric thing that's out off 35. Am I correct in that area?
I think AEP's bringing in another feed, is what I believe it is. I haven't seen that notice. I think they're bringing another feed in to make our service even more reliable, another redundancy, where we can feed from 2 different directions is what I believe is going on there.
Okay. So if you would like to see this letter, that was sent by FedEx in my book when I got it on Saturday. The old business to be brought before council.
Yeah, I'd just like to ask a question to all the rest of you. How many times do the rest of you drive by the recycle containers down at the city garage?
I did this week.
I go by 7 days a week.
Just checking them out, or you just?
We gotta keep our eye on them. I mean, it's.
So,
I go other places and I see the same thing, and they're not as messy as this church. I'm just asking. I'm just asking.
so am I correct that they are picked up twice a week?
Twice a week.
Twice a week, Monday afternoons, Thursday afternoon. That's a contract that the Solid Waste District has. The County Health Department is the ones that had them put the fence around them. The city just offered a place for them to put their recycle bins.
Let's ask the health department to pave it too.
No, I mean, the health department controls, it would be all up to the Solid Waste District and what they wanted to do. Again, all we did was offer them a location for the residents.
Right, it's not a city, I mean, I'm not playing David, it's just people.
Yeah.
And the way
We probably go out 3-4 times a week, maybe. Either the garbage truck guys do when they end their day, pull over there, try to do a cleanup. It's definitely, I agree with you, it's not ideal, it's abused. I'll say more often than not, people think it's a way of getting rid of their garbage, also not just their recycles.
Yes. Agreed. Any other old business?
I have a question.
Yes, sir. Mr. Bob?
At one time, there was correct me if I'm wrong, an ordinance that said all these signs that say window cleaning and yard sales, just sitting around telephone poles and stuff like that. Is that, am I wrong in thinking that, or?
On utility poles, nothing is supposed to be mounted to a utility pole.
But these other signs?
The ones that have been on city right-of-way, we have, right where we're different, allowed those to occur as long as they're managed properly, like the yard sale signs, if they're taken down, within a day or so after the dates. Now, some of these when we go to mow, if we have, let's say a business has put them up there and they've been up there for quite a while, those will end up in the dumpster.
There's a tree service in town, they're all over town,
Yeah.
everywhere.
When the city would go to mow a right-of-way that those happen to be in, those will not go back in the ground. Those will be disposed of.
There's a spot at the corner of Main and Bridge where the old dollar store was, that whoever mows that picks them up. But there's probably, if you look, there's 10 or 15 of them just face down on the ground. They're
You
not.
said Main and Bridge? Yes. Yeah.
So I walk by there every morning, so it's like,
It looks bad.
they just pick them up, throw them away. You're not supposed to put them in the right of way. There is an ordinance against it, because we discussed that a few years ago.
Yeah.
Same with political signs, you're not allowed to put them in the right of way. You put them in your yard, not between the,
Just get rid of them.
between the curb and the sidewalk and stuff.
There was quite a few this weekend. Somebody had dogs for sale. So I got one in front of my office.
That's not
And,
Can I ask one quick question in regards to this, similar, there are signs, so there are these roadside stands popping up, there's one out between, one in the entrance of the Stockmeister building, where they have an accessory building, basically. Are they subject to any permitting or anything? Okay.
Yeah, that parcel is associated with the primary building. I mean, they're adjoining parcels, which we've allowed even for residents to do. Stockmeister wrote a letter saying that he gave them permission to be there. They got their transit merchants permit, they come in, got the building permit. The building is set at the proper distance off of the partial lines.
Just want to make sure.
Yes.
You know, this is pop up everywhere, so.
Yeah.
One other question related to that is the, where we, across from the park where we have the, I guess, the farmer's market. It seems like during the week, there's people just set up there like yard sailing. That's what it seems like. Is that during any hours anyone can go over there and set up, or is that during designated hours?
No, they're not designated hours, but the individuals that have been over there, they come in and get transit merchant license on an annual basis.
Just wanted to make sure. Didn't know if that was just the spot to have that or not. Thank you.
Any other old business? Let's move to new business, I think. Mr. Schweikhammer, if you want to...
I had a utility request for 215 Lewis Street, 5/8" water tap and a sewer tap. That is outside the city.
Discussion.
What's your recommendation?
Services are available in the area.
The chair would entertain a motion to allow.
I make the motion.
Mr. Elias, second by Ms. Colby. Further discussion? Ms. Coon?
All in favor?
All in favor? Aye. Opposed, same sign? Motion carried. Thank you, Ms. Coon. Anything else to be brought before the city, new business?
Just a selfish shout out to my son, Griffin. He graduated Air Force basic training as of tomorrow. So he is an airman, class of 2024. And just wanted to give him a little shout. He deserves it.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
he's going to Pensacola, Florida until April.
Not a bad place.
Get through hurricane season.
Home of the Blue Angels.
Yeah, it is. It's also home of the Air Force and Marines and Navy cyber intelligence. So,
Interesting.
yeah.
Hearing nothing else, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second? All those in favor say aye. Opposed, same sign. The motion is carried. We stand in adjournment.